Okay, it's Lisa again, and Tim is filming for me. I had to wait for him to get home from school. So the other videos I posted talked about how to turn applique with a glue stick, and you guys seem to love it. I did have someone though say that they didn't like the thickness that happens when you have the applique paper with the glue and the fabric. So I experimented a bunch today, and I think I came up with a solution to that. So I'm going to show you a couple leaves, and here you can see I've turned the edges on them, and they're nice and flat. They kept their shape. So this is how I did it. The first thing you're going to need is an applique pressing sheet, and it looks like this. You can get these at your local quilt shops. You might be able to get it at the big box store. It comes in a package like that, and it actually looks like this. So it's clear, you can see through it. The purpose of this product actually is for fusible applique. You can layer a bunch of motifs on it, iron it, and then take that motif off as one single unit. However, in my process today of trying to find a template material that the glue, I could turn the edge, but when the glue dried I could actually get it off the material. I came across this, and I cut a section of my applique pressing sheet off, and I actually ran it through my die cutter, but you can cut out a leaf shape. So here's how I did it. I took my cutout from the applique pressing sheet, and we're back to the glue stick. Now Beth Ferrier did mention that a student of hers said the purple didn't come out of her fabric. Personally, I've not had a problem with that when I've laundered them, although it's possible that that could happen. That requires further research. But you can use the glue sticks by Sew Line, and I think they're clear. But for this purpose, I'm just going to use this one. So I just put a little bit of glue on the applique pressing sheet just to hold it in place so I could cut out the motif. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out my 1/4 inch seam allowance, kind of how we did before. So far we've used an applique pressing sheet and the Elmer's school glue, or you could use the Sew Line glue. So I've cut out my seam allowance, and I'm going to turn the edge just like I did in the other video. And this is just a bamboo skewer. You can get them at the grocery store. They're for shish kebabs. Or maybe you can inquire about city chicken sticks. They're a little bit shorter. A cuticle stick will work. So here I've turned the edge. And this material seems to be thick enough that it's showing a nice sharp edge, and it's not folding over on itself like some foundations do when they get wet. So I'm going to do this other edge and turn this one over as well. So just like the other one, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to check for little wobbles and bumps. I see a little tiny one there. I'm just going to pinch it over. So it looks good. I've turned the edge. So now what I'm going to do is just turn it over, and I'm just going to hit it with an iron. So we'll have Tim rotate to here. All I'm doing is drying the glue. And you'll notice I'm doing it on top of what's left of my applique sheet. So now what I recommend is to let this cool off. Well, I'd give it 5-10 minutes. I have found that the glue has a little bit of stickiness to it till you let it fully dry. So here's one that is dry. I did this one a little bit earlier. And then you can either use the bamboo skewer, or this is a little tool called that purple thing. Again, you can get this at quilt shops. So you just come in and you lift it, just go right along the edges, it lifts off pretty easily. More or less, this is the same process as if you were doing the starch method. The only difference is we've used a glue stick and we're not ironing right by our fingers. So then we just come in here, I hold the point, and we just pull this little template out. Go back to the iron. I want to make sure that that stays nice and flat. So there you go. So what we've got now is a prepared piece of applique. Now we still have a template, so we can reuse this as many times as you want, which is a good thing because these applique pressing sheets, they're not super expensive. I think it was $16 for this really big sheet. Keep in mind that I cut a couple inches off the top of it to make all these templates. And you definitely can reuse these again. So then the comment that Sue had was about needling through the glue. Well, actually what I am going to show you is how easy it is to baste it down. So this is Roxanne's glue. We've mentioned it a few times on the group page. And you only need just a few dots, and you watch, I'm not going near the edge because I don't want to have to needle through that glue if I don't have to. So a couple dots, and then you lay it on your background, and you can let it dry. It might take, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, or you can come back to your iron, hit it with the iron, and now it's dry. But I am going to show you, and I'm going to have Tim zoom in here on this. I started stitching it, and so I'm coming up to the point. So the concern was about thickness. Oh, whoops, I got a snag here. Let me unthread it. Somehow I've threaded onto the back. So I'm going to cut a fresh end. Thread my needle. Alright. Boy, if things could go wrong, there we go, I just unthreaded. The other thing I like to use, I'm not a fan of thimbles. So I use a thimble pad on my finger for pushing the thread through. There we go. And that's what a little thimble pad looks like. So when I get to the point here, so I've got 4 layers plus the glue from the glue stick. It's not hard at all to push through. A lot easier than if there's a foundation in there. I'm going to come out through the point. I used brown thread so that hopefully you all could see it. Come down again. So it's pretty easy to needle through. Let me take another couple stitches. So right through that bulky part, I'm not having any problems. I'm using a John James Golden Glide needle. Some people like milliners. I can't use them because I think my hands get too hot and they bend. But I like this little needle. So for needling purposes, for the purposes of basting down, this seems to work out really well. There's no stiffness, obviously, because there's nothing in it. So then the question also came up about using the liquid stitch, which I used to prevent frays. You can also use a product called Fray Check, but I wanted to see if it would work if I could peel it off of this mylar. So I guess we'll find out. So I'm going to come in here. So this would be a concern if you had an inside point or an inside curve and you're coming through to treat those seams where we've split the fabric. So far everything seems okay, like I can release this heart. So now we come to where the glue is. I'm not having any problems. It lifted right off. So I should be able to pull this little heart motif out. And there we go. So fold it back. So this is a lot like, you know, more or less it's the same as the starch method. I'm going to come back here and press it again. So the press made it really nice and flat. I think this is a great technique if you have a lot of multiples to do, like leaves. It took me hardly any time to make all these different leaves. I think it's a great product. And that's it for today.